The Unsolved Nida Blanca Murder Case. A tragic end to a Filipino icon. On the night of November 6, 2001, Nida Blanca, a famous actress, disappeared after going out with friends. Her personal assistant, Elena de la Paz, noticed her absence and called friends to find out where she was, but they had no knowledge of Nida's whereabouts. Then, Elena went to the Atlanta Center to look for her. The security guard there informed Elena that Nida's car was in the parking lot, leading them to assume that she had gone out with a friend. However, the next morning, a security guard found Nida's car with blood on the floor and Nida's slumped body in the back seat. Nida had sustained 13 stab wounds and bruises on her face. No signs of struggle indicated that the wounds might have been post-mortem. Who was Nida Blanca? Nida Blanca was a highly acclaimed actress who achieved numerous accolades for her work in both film and television. She had also been appointed as a board member of the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, MTRCB. Born as Dorothy Jones to a Filipino mother and an American soldier, she was previously married to Victorino Torres, with whom she shared a daughter named Kay. Later, while filming in the Philippines, she met Rod Strunk, a singer-actor widely known as Rod Lauren, and they got married in the United States in 2008, 1979. The Autopsy Report. The autopsy report of Nida Blanca revealed that she had sustained 13 stab wounds, mostly small, superficial, and indiscriminate. The fatal wound was at her throat, which came from the left, cutting through the right and hitting the jugular vein. 3 wounds were near the armpit, and there were bruises on her face. However, there were no signs of defense wounds associated with a struggle, and there were no signs of a struggle inside her vehicle. Possible weapon and time of death. Initially, the wounds were believed to have come from at least 2 short knives. However, later on, it was discovered that Nida died from a single-bladed weapon, measuring at least 5.5 centimeters. Her death was approximately between 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. on November 7, 2001, around 3 to 4 hours before the security guard found her body. According to a SOCO officer, rigor mortis hadn't set in fully when they retrieved the body from the car. Post-mortem wounds and blood trail. In a television show, a medico-legal said that the wounds were post-mortem, meaning it might have been done after she died. The blood trail that the security guard saw showed that the body was dragged from one place to her Nissan Sentra. Parking area. The 6th-floor parking area had allotted 6 spaces for the MTRCB. It was dark and did not have a security guard station nor surveillance cameras, aside from a wide-angle mirror. Photos show that Nida's Nissan Sentra was parked at the very end, near the wall, and partially covered by a concrete pillar. Suspects Raul Orozco. The investigation into Nida Blanca's murder led to the identification of several suspects, but no one was ever charged with the crime. One of the early suspects was a driver named Raul Orozco, who worked for Nida's ex-husband, Victorino Torres. Orozco was allegedly seen near the parking lot, where Nida's car was found on the morning of the murder. However, Orozco was later cleared of any involvement in the crime. Philip Medal. Another suspect was Philip Medal, Nida's personal assistant at the time of her death. Medal was initially arrested in the Philippines and charged with the murder, but he was later released due to insufficient evidence. In 2009, he was rearrested in the United States and extradited back to the Philippines to face trial. However, he died in jail in 2010 before the trial could take place. Rod Strunk. Rod Strunk, Nida's husband at the time of her death, was also considered a suspect due to their troubled relationship and his history of drug use. However, he was in the United States at the time of the murder and was never charged with any crime related to Nida's death. Rod Strunk later committed suicide in 2007, further fueling speculation about his possible involvement in the murder. Organized crime syndicates. The case also led to speculation about the possible involvement of organized crime syndicates due to Nida's rumored gambling debts. However, no concrete evidence was ever presented to support this theory. Despite years of investigation and multiple suspects, the murder of Nida Blanca remains unsolved, leaving many questions unanswered. Theories surrounding Nida Blanca's death. After Nida Blanca's tragic murder, 3 different theories surfaced as to who might have been responsible. The first theory suggested that Nida had a gambling problem and had accumulated a large debt with a syndicate that lends money to gamblers. This theory was fueled by the fact that Nida was known to frequent casinos and the possibility that she owed money to these loan sharks. The second theory linked Nida's death to a bank account that was allegedly owned by former Philippine President Joseph Estrada. It was claimed that Nida was the beneficiary of the account, and that her murder was related to the account's supposed illicit activities. However, no concrete evidence was ever presented to support this theory. The third and most plausible theory involved Nida's failing marriage to her husband, Rod Strunk, also known as Rod Lauren. It was said that Rod had become a freeloader who was interested in Nida's properties and insurance, and that their marriage was on the rocks. Rod had a history of drug use and had been caught using drugs in the past. As a result, it was speculated that he might have been involved in Nida's murder. Roger Lawrence Rod Strunk's tragic end, Rod Strunk, Nida Blanca's second husband, ended his life on 11 July 2007 by jumping from a second-floor balcony at the Tracy Inn in Tracy, California. He had been staying there for 3 days before his death. Philip Mettle's fate. Pedro Philip Mettle, Jr. confessed to killing movie actress Nida Blanca in November 2001. He had turned himself in, claiming he was bothered by his conscience. He said that Rod Strunk, Blanca's American husband, through a certain Mike Martinez, contracted him to torture Nida into producing a document related to her will. Article continues after this advertisement, but just days after his confession, Mettle broke down and claimed to have been tortured by police into admitting to the crime and naming Strunk as the mastermind. Article continues after this advertisement. The Philippine National Police flatly denied Medel's claim of torture. But officials of its task force Marcia admitted that Medel's recantation had put his confession in doubt, and that they had no other evidence to pin him down for the killing. Nonetheless, in February 2003, the Department of Justice indicted Strunk as the brains behind the murder of Blanca on the strength of the handwritten confession of Medel. The preliminary investigation of a 2-man panel of the DOJ established that Strunk indeed ordered Medel to kill Blanca. Strunk and Medel, along with a Jane Doe, were charged with murder at the Pasig City RTC. Article continues after this advertisement. Strunk, though managed to leave for the U.S. to visit his ailing mother, Helen Strunk, who was dying of cancer before he could be charged. She died on January 20, 2002, and Strunk never returned to the Philippines. In May 2003, however, federal agents, acting on an extradition request from the Philippine government, arrested Strunk and placed him in the Sacramento County Jail pending an extradition hearing. But a U.S. federal court later threw out the extradition request because Philippine authorities failed to establish Strunk's guilt after Mettel's recantation. Strunk was then ordered released from jail. Strunk died in July 2007 after falling from a 2-story inn in Tracy, California, in what the police there ruled a suicide. In April 2010, Mettel died from sepsis, blood poisoning, secondary to pneumonia, after a 2-day confinement in the medicine ward of the Pasig City General Hospital. Mettel had been detained since 2005 in the Pasig City Jail in Barangay Pinagbuhatan, where he was committed and transferred from the custody of the National Bureau of Investigation. He carried to his grave what could be the only hope of finding out who really killed Nida Blanca. The case's status years passed, and the case remained at the presentation of evidence stage. Unfortunately, it will never go on trial because, under Philippine law, the criminal liability is extinguished once the accused dies. Thus, the case of Nida Blanca's murder will remain unsolved forever.
Close to me, magic blossoms and whispers